Hi everyone, my name is King Cad, also known as Dawar, and welcome to the first segment of a conversation with a friend. This first segment is really going to be an introduction to who I am and what this show is all about. So really, this first episode is a monologue with myself. So it's going to be a little different than a lot of the other talks we're going to have. However, I'm doing this off the cusp so that it seems as genuine as some of these conversations will be, as the people that I will be bringing on, uh, they know they need to introduce themselves, and I give them a few ideas of the topics based on things that I know about their lives, but really, based on what they're saying, we're just gonna try and flow the conversation so it doesn't seem forced. And you're gonna feel a level of genuinity as we're going through a lot of this, and you'll see aha moments from them as well as from me as I'm asking them questions and learning more about them. But I digress, and we'll go into more details on that. First of all, who I am. I was born in Pakistan, and I moved to Canada at a very early age. I identify more as a Canadian than anything else. My brother used to call us CPICs when we were kids, confused Pakistanis in Canada. And you know what? To a certain extent, that was true. It's kind of tricky. I don't want to say as a new immigrant, but just when you're a kid in general, it's kind of tricky, like, because you don't know yourself and there's so many different types of people around you. I think the extra difficulty comes from this dichotomy between the values that you would see from our more Pakistani friends versus our more Western or Canadian friends or Westernized friends. I don't think there was that big a difference in the values per se, but as a kid, you don't really know yourself, and so it feels like there's a lot of differences, but I would argue that I was not comfortable with myself as a kid, which is totally fine and fair because I don't think many kids are ever that comfortable. In elementary school and junior high, my parents, I'm very fortunate for this, always encouraged us to be open minded to the people around us, to listen to their stories, to find our own values, but never push our views on other people and just listen. And part of what that created in both myself and my brother is we are both very kind people that are able to have dialogues with people without judging them or without pushing an agenda. And we've been able to do that as kids. And in elementary, it was all about the kindness to the point where it sort of detracted or hid away who I am as an individual from people. And I think that lasted from elementary all the way till high school, where I was a bit of a caricature of myself, where people thought I was a lot more innocent than I was, or not as more ignorant of the world. And to an extent, that was true, and that comes from being sheltered from some of the realities of the world. But I always welcomed those things, and I never judged people, and it always gave them the opportunity to open up more and more about themselves. But I never presented myself to other people other than being nice, genuinely listening, and using humor as a means to connect with people. Again, the big issue there is as much as that makes people comfortable, uh, it kind of hides away who I am as a person. And as life went along, I realized that genuinity, being genuine to yourself and being genuine to who you are is a big deal to me. And there was a few moments in my life which really made me realize that. But going more in order on who I am, in high school, I started figuring that out more and more. And I think a lot of people had this idea of, there's like different cliques and cliches, cliques and stuff that go on, and depending on your interest, you get along more with some people than other people. I think I was very easily able to blend in with everyone. A lot of people knew me as the guy that's holding the door open for people, the guy that's going out of his way for people, that's being kind, that's listening, and a lot of people opened up to me even then in a very genuine way. They would tell me things about themselves which they normally wouldn't be comfortable telling other people. And frankly, I'm really grateful because a lot of people also provided support to me, as in, a lot of them genuinely cared that I wouldn't get hurt. Their concern was, this guy's so nice, this guy's so naive. How can we help him out? Um, and then getting into university, I decided to get a degree in finance, and I think that was the first time where I started limiting more of getting closer with specific groups of people or specific people that I've known for a long time. I want to be clear, I'm still in touch with a lot of the people that I met in elementary school and junior high, and those people have stuck with me because, again, when you show kindness and be genuine or as genuine as you can with other people and show care for them, they tend to stick around, in my opinion. And that's exactly what's happened. Is the people that I met at a young age, a lot of them, especially the ones that I feel are very kind people and very genuine with me, and they took the time to get to know me. Those people are still in my lives, and to me, they're all family. And I think that's one of the good things my parents did is they always encouraged us to treat everyone around us like our brothers and sisters. Now, there is certain limitations to that, of course, but at least that gives the advantage of like you're not doing anything maliciously, you're caring for people. And I think people would take that to different degrees because I know some people have it in them, like when they see someone they love and care for, they start amplifying themselves and them. They start seeing their own views and they start pushing it onto other people. Anyways, again, I am digressing because university is the first time where I started showing more and more of who I am to people, and it didn't go. It like I don't think I thought of it that way then, but it wasn't that scary. One of the things that I got a degree in finance, and one of the things that I realized in university. So, actually, I'm gonna go back a little bit further. So, I've always wanted to be a king. That was my desire. And getting into university, I decided to get a degree in finance. And the primary reason behind that is because I didn't want to be a king for the money or the wealth or like this idea of like there's a higher status out there and I want to be a ruling dictator and all that stuff. No, even as a kid, I wanted to be a king because I see kings as the kind of people that people can go through. They're the wise people. They're the ones that are able to help people out, look at a situation relatively objectively and determine what the best cause is for the people around them and their kingdom and stuff. And I love that. I love that idea of being there for people and being able to do that. Uh, I'm realizing now it's more complicated than that because everyone has their own ideas of values and how they place these values. One person's values could be in direct contradiction with someone else's, but to me, a king is so true to himself and so true to the people around him, the people that want to follow him, that those values are sort of implied or they're accepted as being the right thing for that person in that situation. That's why you would even follow a king, right? But that's what I wanted. I wanted something along that. And of course, that's not realistic but as you get closer and closer to adulthood for something like that to happen. And my conclusion was I wanted to get a business degree because I wanted to run my own business in the future. And as I got into university and I started getting comfortable with who I am, as in like showing more of what I am to people, it's something I always worked on, but it got further and further because even as a kid, I was actually bullied quite a lot, right? You're always smiling, you're kind of giddy, you're a little weird as a kid, and kids can be kind of ruthless when they see things like that. And part of that bullying helped me develop a thicker skin. And it made me be very introspective at an early age. And I'm really grateful to my dad for that because I used to go up to him and have all of these conversations. And he actually used to make bets with me, like, I'll pay you $20 if you read this book. And I didn't appreciate enough how much, like, some of those books, like they were high level concepts, like Seven Habits of Highly Effective People is one of them, where he would make a bet with me and then I had to read that and I read it over the weekend. And I didn't actually appreciate how much that affected me, even at a very young age, to read some of those books. And as I'm getting older and older, the applications of some of those theories and those values started applying more and more. And I'm fortunate because I think I got to develop my EQ at a very early age. Again, going back to it, going into university, I think I was able to apply more and more of that and see more and more of the value of reading those things. And just getting bullied and having all of that and having this desire to be a king, all of that like accumulated a lot more together. And the reason that I chose a degree in finance is because the closest thing to being a king in my head in this day and age is running your own business, because you have the freedom and the opportunity to do whatever you want to a certain extent. Uh, but the second part of it is I want to help people, and I never really figured out like how do I help people with the degree in finance. And don't get me wrong, I've gotten out of finance, and I'm currently a commodity trader, and I love it. I love it so much. There's so much analytics in it, and I've pushed over the last few years to get there. And I love using the analytical side of my brain for that. I love it. But it's missing the social side, and that social side is exactly this. It's understanding who you are and understanding the people around you, and being able to deal with people and help people out in that way. So we're getting in closer and closer to what a conversation with a friend is about and how, in my opinion, it's begun. And it's that I've made up for a lot of that by welcoming myself into relatively uncomfortable situations and opening myself to the people around me. Over the years, my parents encouraged me at an early age to do this, and since graduating, I've done this on my own, where I've made sure that I travel somewhere every single year and I open myself to those experiences. In university and in high school, I also opened myself up to different groups of people. I never looked at things as like, drama club, jock, et cetera, whatever those stereotypes might be. It was more of, I'm able to connect with you, you're able to connect with me, I want to get to know you, and people were open with it. And that was the same in university. I never stopped that part, but I was just more exclusive with the fact that these are the people that are close to me. These are the people that are my family, and it was a small, much smaller group of people. And these are the people I'm most comfortable around, and they're most comfortable around me. But even then, that started expanding further and further as I started getting out of university and real life starts hitting. And with real life, you have other issues that start coming up, right? Like over the years, I've had to deal with people with depression. I've had to deal with people that have gotten into drugs. I've had to deal with people that have severe anxiety issues. I've had to deal with people that have walked through all different types of life. People that are super religious, people that are super, frankly, the opposite way, very racist in a way. And all of them have been able to open up to me and get to know me. I might not necessarily even agree with a lot of people's views necessarily, but I'm open to listening to them. And to me, and this is again going into why what a conversation with a friend is about, is we have these preconceived notions in our head of what success looks like, happiness looks like, and I feel like people genuinely struggle to have open-minded conversations where they're just listening. A lot of people have lost the value in doing that, of just talking to people and understanding them, appreciating, these are their experiences and this is where you got where you are. And in all fairness, it's very difficult for people to even identify that. That, along with the fact that some of the topics in life start getting harder and harder and harder, and people have such vastly different views. And there's such a divide in the way that people talk with each other where you stick your tent pole in the ground and you're like, this is me, this is my view, you better accept it. I'm going to convince you that you need to do that. And that's great if you're that kind of person, but I personally am not that kind of person. I like the idea of listening to other people. I like the idea that by talking to someone, you can open up your mind further, and you can open up their mind further. You don't even have to agree with them, but just listening to me has such a value in it, and there's such gold nuggets from people like that. And my goal with this is to bring people on that I know, and even people that I don't, people I've just met, and it's to try and have those open-minded conversations with them where we open ourselves up to each other purely and genuinely, and we talk about our lives. Of course, there's certain limitations to that in that, I would never want to post anything that someone is not comfortable with me presenting. So after each session is done, I send them a copy. They'll ask me to edit parts of it out if needed, or not to use it at all. I'm not gonna lie, I've done a few of the sessions already, and even I've noticed, like, I've learned a lot from them. Like, it's adapted my view on, for example, a couple of the conversations were about relationships. I've adapted my views on that as well from these things, and I'm hoping that you guys are able to adjust some of this stuff. But really, the goal is figure out why people deem certain things success, deem certain things happiness, and go from there. Going back to what I was saying earlier, though, really, there's gold nuggets in all of this. So my goal with all of this is eventually to start evolving this so multiple people come on again, and maybe expand my horizons even further, start talking to even more people I never thought I would be able to connect with. And this is a very good excuse in my head to be able to do that. And people, thus far, people have enjoyed it. But like, one of the conversations or the first few interviews, one of the things that I figured out about myself is I've always been told I'm a very giddy person. Like, I'll giggle when I'm awkward, like, "Ew." And I've known that, and I always thought it was partly to do with what I was talking about earlier, which is, I find comedy and being nice are a good way to make people happy, and presenting a giddy persona is kind of makes people comfortable. And to a certain part extent, that is who I am. I'm quite giddy in the way that I do things, but to another extent, I realized I do it when I feel awkward or nervous. And the first few sessions that I did of this, you'll notice that. You'll notice I'll ask a question and I'll giggle right after. It's a very serious question, and I'm giggling, and I'm like, what the fudge? And I didn't really notice it to that extent till I recorded a session and I listened to it over, and I'm like, holy, I see what you guys mean by like this could be probably a little annoying. And I'm starting to adapt further from some of that stuff and learn from it. So the primary purpose of this is to have those open-minded conversations, learn about other people's perspectives, and maybe learn how to deal with situations in your own life according to that, or get some sort of gold nugget out of it. But really, just learn about other people in a genuine way. Um, See those conversations and how they go. And for me, the biggest criteria for success is not going to be number of views. It's not going to be how many people are watching this. It's not to make some sort of financial return, but rather to have these conversations and learn something from them. I value learning a lot. And to me, this is a good way to do that. And to genuinely get to know the people around me or the people in this world a lot better. If any of you guys are interested in being a part of this or having a conversation with me as well, just feel free to send me an email at kingcat22@gmail.com and explain a little bit about yourself, and we can definitely make that happen. Or write some comments on what kind of people you want to see, and if I have people like that in my life, I'm more than happy to bring them on. Some of these people's views, of course, I hope I've made it clear, I don't necessarily agree with, but my goal is not to push back on them, but rather to converse and to understand. And I want to make that completely clear, right? Like, even they can assume my views. It doesn't matter. The point is just to talk to them. And I hope you guys see it the same way, as this is just a way to have an open conversation and to have fun with it all. Well, that's all I really have to say about what this is. I hope it gives you a better idea of who I am and what the purpose of a conversation with a friend is. I do apologize again. This was a little off the cusp, so some of these thoughts were probably a little all over the place. But I expect some of these conversations to be like that a little bit, maybe a little more focused. The first few sessions I've done, I think they went pretty well, kind of smooth. Some of them were longer than expected, and I'll figure that stuff out. But again, the goal later is to get multiple people on as well and like have other conversations about more specific topics. But for now, this is what a conversation with a friend is about. And I would be very, very excited if you guys could join me on this journey and enjoy it. And if not, well, thanks for tuning into this one and for giving this a shot. But yeah, I hope you guys tune in for the rest of this journey. Thank you. Until the first actual conversation with a friend. I'll see you guys later. Bye.